Alright, well, here we find ourselves in my greenhouse on a mid-June morning. Everything's been looking very beautiful lately. I am leaving for a trip today, and I won't be back till Monday, so I thought this would be prime time to do an update on some of my plants. Not each and every single one, but just a few cool new things that have happened recently. And yeah, I'm gonna hold the camera vertically. I just remember one time, or actually a couple of times, where I was holding the camera horizontally. It's very awkward, and then I end up usually hitting a button that ends the video, sometimes like 15 minutes through the video, so I will not be holding the camera horizontally. I highly recommend you watch this on your phone, on the YouTube app, rather than the desktop. You'll get a much better view. Anyway, so here's Jacquelinie, and I seem to remember talking about this plant looking a lot better. It's starting to picture more. Here's a picture finally coming. So, and then there's another one back there that looks pretty promising, and then some on the basil too. So, you know, at least Jacquelinie is starting to bounce back and picture again, which I'm very excited about. Here's Jamban, starting to put out kind of these intermediate looking pictures. Definitely changed the color tone on the traps. They're a lot less dark on the mother plant. You know, when pictures start getting lighter toned as they climb to intermediates and uppers, it's to attract the more aerial insects and look less like leaf litter. The basils still have lower pictures. This one just opened up recently, and yeah, turning into a really nice looking mature specimen. Here is Nepenthes enormous. Just love the toilet bowl species from Sumatra. It rarely holds on to more than 2 pictures at once. Usually it's like 3. Some people think it's because of humidity, and I'll tell you that it really isn't. This plant really doesn't hold on to any more pictures in the winter when my humidity is at 80+% at all times than it does in the summer when my humidity sometimes drops into the 40s. I think it's just kind of the growth habit of the plant. You see that there's just not a lot of growth above that woody stem. So I think it's a very stem happy plant. But I mean, I don't really have a problem with it not having more than 2 pictures at once. I think it looks fantastic. It looks very symmetrical. It's very evenly grown. It's very consistent. It's never had a problem. It's always grown very well. Raja Loei VCI, that big picture it put out, trying to really color up, looking like Raja. It has another one probably due to pop, I'd say early to mid next month, maybe even sooner. It's probably going to be a pretty big one too. So it'll look pretty impressive with 2 of these on the plant. And Raja Burb doesn't quite have the same size and impressiveness as Raja Loei VCI, unfortunately. It opened the basil picture back there. This picture looks like it'll get a little bit bigger, but it's not going to be big, unfortunately. I figured this would be a lot bigger by now, but you know, I try to take that as a positive thing now, because my greenhouse is really kind of running out of space, so I don't have room for everything to be gargantuan. And there's that VCI Loei Edwardsiana hiding under the leaves back here. Let's see. Here is a new picture on Glandulifera crucifipiata. Just the absolute most striking colors on this thing when they first open, and even when they color up, they're still very striking, but they just are glowing when they first open. Do that glowing yellow, and then it has lid bristles on the very up front part of the lid. Super cool cross. And that's what an older picture looks like. This actually opened fairly recently. It's not super old, maybe a few weeks ago. But they get heavy exudate on the lid. Yeah, a lot of Ephibiata traits, and the Glandulifera just gives it some amazing color. That's a smaller trap that just opened. That's definitely the smallest trap it's ever put out, if we're being honest. And you know, it's funny because in the last video I talked about not having pure mollusk in my collection, and I didn't think I was going to add it because I didn't have space, but I did run into this fantastic can't miss specimen Pearl Rubber Exotics was selling. So here I have a mollusk now. It's almost like a prayer was answered when I said that in my last video. Yeah, this is the Westuva clone. I've seen this clone before. It turns out really good. Yeah, I'm very excited to own a pure mollusk now. Just definitely unexpected. I wasn't looking to add, but you know, sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. then here's a new picture on the Nepenthes lowii. This is the Trusmati form. This is the one I've always had. But yeah, new picture here. Fantastic colors on this guy. Super dark, the kind of more elongated style traps. A lot of lid bristles. Great pellet parasome coloration. This one will definitely develop a little more. Get a little bit wider at the mouth. Fantastic plant. And then this Hamada Rob is getting too big. I don't even know what to do with this. It's actually kind of hanging off the table, and I keep hitting. I'm really worried that I'm going to knock this plant over. I'm going to have to find another better place for this one because it's gotten really big recently. Got these Naga. Here's a little rebound picture on Rob. You know, still not too impressive. Not nearly as impressive as his old pictures, but not bad. At least it's starting to kind of come back. It's got a new one forming back there. Here's a nice looking picture on Nepenthes Platykyla. This is definitely the best picture it's ever had. Starting to look more and more like a mature Platykyla as far as the basal rosette, or the rosette, I mean. Here's Maxima Clipiata, the new picture. Really nice looking plant. Really resembles Clipiata. Clipiata is a very dominant parent in hybrids, which is pretty cool actually. I don't mind that. And Caliensis veitchii Poscana is just going nuts right now. Big binding plant, just opening all these pictures pretty much at the same time. Really cool little addition to the greenhouse. I mean, look at that. Colors on tones on that is so rich. The peristome is shiny, nice shiny chocolate color. Wow, that's definitely some of the best I've ever seen it look. Lovely plant. Here's a new picture on Truncata, the Highland reddish leaves. The best Truncata out there, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people's opinion. This picture is a lot bigger in person than it looks on camera. Definitely the length of that tendril. Love the leaf coloration. It's so cool how the leaf starts off blood red like this and then just becomes the most pleasant shade of green over time. Super cool. Here's a helium flora I'm pretty happy with. This is Parva Ionaceae. You know, one of my most consistent helium flora. Hasn't had issues yet. So that's pretty cool. Here's a Denziflora Camiri. 2 pictures on it right now, which is awesome. And here is Ursulocuides with a bunch of pictures. I think it's like maybe 3 on the mother and then a few on the basal. But the ones on the mother plant are the ones worth looking at. Cool little cool little species. A nice little addition to the Sumatran collection. Sorry, it's kind of early right now. I'm still waiting for the coffee to kick in, so I'm kind of stumbling over words right now. Here's a Spatulata Jacquelinia. I was supposed to bring this in the bed caps, but I put it in my car and I turned one corner and the whole plant fell over. So I was like, nope, we're not doing this. So I drove back to my house and I dropped it off. And I just brought in my Veitchia Loea Edwardsiana instead, which I think was a good idea. Raja Jacquelinia is going to have a new pitcher, finally. This thing is not like the pitcher. It's very reluctant. Jeremiah Harris hybrid, one of the few out there. Super happy to own it. And then here is a nice rosette of pitchers on my Spatulata Diabolica. And then there's an intermediate here. Here's another intermediate here. It's pretty cool to see what the intermediates finally look like. This is definitely one of my most vigorous plants I've ever owned. It only took like, I don't know, 2 years to get it to start vining and flowering. Really was a quick maturing plant, which is awesome. I really don't mind that at all. Especially one that stays pretty compact. I mean, that vine's pretty long, but the pitchers don't get huge and the diameter isn't too bad. And it'll be forming an upper here. Seems like it needs to wrap around something to activate a pitcher on the vine. And then here is Peltata Jacquelinia. It's about to open a very cool looking little pitcher. Very excited to see what that looks like and see if the peristome starts developing. And some of my bromeliads down here looking really good. Yeah, that's kind of what's happened recently that's noteworthy. I think I'm going to kind of cut it here. Just going to give you guys an update on everything. Or actually, I think I could mention this Ventricosa Attenboroughii. It's looking really good. That's a new picture on it. Quite fundibular, kind of like Cattenbria. Great colors on this one. And here's Epiphytica mollis, looking spectacular. The nice rosetta pictures on it currently. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna cut it there. Thanks for watching. I'll update you guys soon when more stuff happens.